so we are going to be applying a scalar multiplication, and we're going to be using matrices for this. So we're going to start with a story problem. Cool Threads, a clothing store, uses a matrix C to represent the price of women's clothing. They use C is equal to the matrix 320, 210, 160, 240, 110, and 65. The columns represent the brand, vintage, casual, and distressed, and the rows represent the jeans and jackets. If the sales tax is 5%, how can you use a matrix operation to find the amount of sales tax on each item? All right, so let's say again the sales tax is 5%. We're looking at, let's see here, this one is vintage, casual, and distressed, and then jeans and jackets. Okay, so the columns, so we're going to formulate if the sales tax is 5%, you can multiply each element by 5% or 0.05 to get the actual price. So the way I'd represent this is the S for the sales price, or this scalar, we're just going to use S for scalar, is the multiplication of each element in the matrix. We've talked about scalars when we've talked about transformations, and I'm talking about when you're multiplying a value to your function or you're multiplying a value to x, you have a vertical or horizontal scale factor. So a scalar is something you're multiplying. So we're multiplying each element by a single real number called the scalar. And ours happens to be 0.05 because we're talking about 5%. And that's a times C. So the way we're going to compute this is S is going to be 0.05 times the matrix 320, 210, 160, 240, 110, and 65. And that, I did not mean, sorry, start and that, and then I realized it did parentheses other than a bracket. But that means that this 0.05 has to be multiplied to each one of those values. So let's do that. 320 times 0.05. 240 times 0.05. 210 times 0.05. 110 times 0.05, 160 times 0.05, 65 times 0.05. And then remember, we're multiplying the sales tax to this. What then I would get is 16, 1050, 8, 12, 550, and 325. What does this really mean now? What does this mean in context to our problem? Because it didn't change the dimensions or the headings of my rows, but it did change my values. And my values became smaller instead of going bigger, because again, we're looking at these cells. And so what these values represent is what I'm paying in taxes. So the actual retail price with tax of a vintage pair of jeans is going to be $336. And the sales price with tax of the casual jeans is going to be $220.50. So this right here represents tax. And that's what you're going to add on for each one of those. All right, so that is a scalar. That's scalar multiplication. Again, you're multiplying this value to each value in the matrix, and you're going to get some type of output. And to interpret that output is the biggest part of this type of problem. What is this output really telling us? And in our case, this output is telling us what we're paying in sales tax. Alright guys, if you have any questions, always feel free to ask, and I will catch you in the next video.